Hey, welcome to the series of everything you need to know about Python in simplest possible way. In the series of pattern printing, so far we have seen so many patterns. In this video, we will see how we can actually print this particular pattern. So, in order to print this particular pattern, you can observe this pattern having a unique shape, which is having this particular alphabet in this shape, which is the diagonal shape, and this particular alphabet, which is E, having after the A, this in here we have got C. Like that, the alphabets are keep increasing in diagonal way. As a whole, we have got this alphabets in the pyramid shape. So now let us go ahead and see how we can actually print this particular pattern. So in order to print this particular pattern, we can observe we have 5 rows, right? So for that reason, I will take a variable rows and I will assign the value 5 here. After, what I will be doing is that you can observe in this pattern we have shapes in the left side, right? So first we need to print spaces and after we need to print alphabets in order to get the exact pattern. So for that reason, in order to keep track of these spaces, I will use a variable spaces and I will assign how many number of spaces that we have got the first row. So if we see how many number of spaces we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we only got 4 spaces here. You can observe 1, 2, 3, 4. So we only got 4 spaces, and out of 5 positions here, one position is occupied by this alphabet, and the remaining 4 positions is occupied by spaces. So for that reason, I will take these rows and I will subtract with -1 because this one position is occupied by alphabet and remaining are spaces. So that is what we will be assigning to the spaces variable. So after that, what I will be doing is that this particular pattern is starting with this alphabet A, right? So in order to keep track of this all these particular alphabets here, I will first start with the alphabet A. So I am taking the alphabet A. So we cannot directly keep track of these alphabets in terms of alphabets. So for that reason, what we will be doing is that we will convert these alphabets to its equivalent integers and keep track of them. So in order to convert them, we will be using standard ASCII codes. So for that reason, I will convert this into ASCII codes and keep track. So if you don't know about these ASCII codes, how they works, and if you don't know about how to convert these alphabets to equivalent ASCII integer values and equivalent integer values to ASCII alphabets, watch out my first video about alphabets pattern printing 1, so where you can be able to clearly understand all this process. So for the time being, I will explain which is necessary in order to print this particular pattern. So in order to do that, I will convert first of all this particular alphabet into its equivalent integer value. So to do that in Python, we have a specific method which is ORD. So by using this ORD method, we can actually convert these alphabets to equivalent integer values. So I am mentioning this particular alphabet inside of this ORD method and I will assign this equivalent integer value to alpha here. So now after that, what we will be doing is that in order to generate this many number of rows, I will use a for loop. So for I in range, so now we will be generating the range of values and the range of values that we will be generating is based on this particular pattern, right? So for that reason, in the first row we are starting with 1, in the second row we are having 2, like this we are increasing these values, right? So for that reason, I will start with 1 and go till the value of how many number of rows that we are having. So for that reason, I am mentioning rows plus 1. So by the functionality of this range, we will be stopped at the value rows, which is the value of 5. So in this for loop, what I will be doing is that just to know what values we have got in I will print the value I here. So we have got the values what we have expected 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can correlate these I values with this particular pattern. So we have got 5 rows. So now what we need to do is that in every single row we need to generate these alphabets, right? So for that reason, in the first row, you can observe the first row we have got single alphabet. In the second row, we have got 2 alphabets. The third row, we have got 3 alphabets. You can correlate this how many number of alphabets in row with this particular I value here. So you can correlate that. Now what we will be doing is that we will use these particular I values to generate this many number of values in every single row. So for that reason, we will use another for loop in order to generate every single value in every single row. Because in every single row, these are repeating, right? So for that reason, I will use one more for loop for j in range. So we will be starting at the value 1 and go till the value of I plus 1. So by mentioning this I plus 1, we will be stopped at the value I. So why we are using this I is because by using this I value only, we can able to generate this particular alphabets numbers in every single row. So for that reason, I am mentioning 1 till I plus 1. So in this, instead of printing this I will print the value alpha here. So by printing this alpha, we will get only the particular alphabet equivalent integer number. So later we will convert that alphabet integer numbers to actual alphabet. So before actually directly printing, I will just format a little bit so that we will get the similar pattern. So after this, I am mentioning this end parameter with a single space so that we can able to get everything in a single line. So after that, I will print a new line character after this particular inner for loop. So now if I execute this, we can able to get all 65s because this alphabet A equivalent ASCII value is 65. Because of that reason, we are getting 65s here. So now we will be converting this particular alphabet with its alphabet integer value with its equivalent alphabet. In order to do that, in Python, we have a specific method which is CHR. By using this CHR method, we can actually convert these integer numbers to its equivalent ASCII alphabet. So I'm mentioning this inside this alpha inside of the CHR to convert. So now if I execute this, we can able to get all alphabets here. So we don't only want alphabets, we want this particular A, B, C every single new row. So for that reason, what we need to do is that we need to do some modifications here. So what modifications we need to do is that we are mentioning this alpha inside outside of this for loop. So in order to get this particular pattern, we need to mention this particular initialization of alpha inside of the for loop. So for that reason, I am taking this and I am mentioning inside of this for loop because in every single row you can observe here in every single row we are starting with the value a. So in order to do that, so this out inner for loop is responsible to generate every single row alphabets, right? So for that we are initializing this particular alpha a outside of this inner for loop and inside of this outer for loop so that we can able to generate we can able to initialize particular alphabet inside of this for loop and so that we can able to generate this pattern. So after initializing this, what we need to do is that we need to increase the value of alpha to generate A, B, ABC every single row. So for that reason, I am mentioning alpha plus equal to 1. So actually, I am increasing the value of alpha. So now if I execute this, we can able to get the similar pattern. So now we have you can compare this and we have got everything. So the only thing we need to do is that as we have discussed earlier, we first need to print these spaces before here in order to get the exact pattern. So to do that, what I will be doing is that as and when we enter into this in outer for loop, I will print the spaces because in this inner for loop we are printing the characters, right? So because of that reason we need to print the spaces before the printing characters. So for that reason, as and when we enter outer for loop, I am printing the characters. So I am printing the spaces. So I am mentioning this particular space and multiplying the space with spaces variable and to get the exact number of spaces. So I am mentioning this end with a single with nothing. So by default, end is having new line character. We don't want any new line character. So for that reason, I am mentioning like this. So after that, what we will be doing is that if you could observe this pattern carefully, in every single new row, the spaces are keeps reducing, right? So for that reason, after completion of this inner for loop, I will reduce the spaces here. Spaces minus equal to 1. So by using this, we can able to reduce the spaces. So now if I execute this, we can able to get the exact pattern that is what we are expecting here, right? So now I hope you can able to understand this logic to generate this pattern. So if you found any difficulty while understanding this logic, I sincerely suggest you to watch the video once again carefully so that you can able to understand it clearly. And if you want to understand more clearly about any kind of a pattern that you wanted to generate, watch my previous videos of numbers pattern printings so that you can able to clearly understand why I am mentioning this end formatting here, and new line character here. Clearly, where in those videos I have clearly explained these things. So now what we will be doing is that we will be dynamically taking of these rows from user and print accordingly. So I'm taking an input and asking user to enter rows here. So now if I execute this, it was asking me to enter rows. If I give, let's say, value uh, 7 here, we can able to get the pattern, this pyramid shape, which is A, B, C, D. At the end, we are going till the value of G, which is the seventh alphabet, right? So let's say I will give one more number, let's say 4 here. So still we can able to get the pattern starting with the A and going till the value of D, which is the alphabet of 4 here, fourth alphabet, right? So now I hope you can able to understand this logic to generate any kind of a pattern, to generate this kind of a pattern by any number given by the user. So in the next video, we will see how we can actually print this particular pattern. So this pattern is completely coming to the right side. So here you can observe, and like that we can have this particular pattern here, which is similar to this pattern but little different with terms of spaces and in terms of position. So to watch this video and to keep updated with my latest videos, subscribe to this channel and turn on the notifications to all so that whenever I upload any video, you will get the notification. So thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one.